You guys know what time it is. It's Monkey Wine here. We're live. I am Gundam Morning Works, and this is part 23. This is a long project. It's turning out to be quite involved, and it's running into about 6 to 7 months now. I remember back when we started doing this, or when I started getting heavily back into scale model building, I was turning out a master grade kit about once a month. And then as time went on, your skills kind of improve and start noticing more of your little flaws. You want to fix things, you want to do this, you want to try different techniques, and it just kind of gets longer and longer and longer. And kits take longer to finish. And so, without that, let's talk about who's in the chat here. Nigel, you're cheating, man. 2 days early, that's crazy, but I appreciate it. It's awesome. So Nigel was in from New Zealand 2 days early. 30 minutes before that. Julia shortly after that. Angel popped in shortly after that. And everybody's just saying hello. So how you guys doing? Yeah, we're doing good. I will say that last weekend I was out in Idaho, so I didn't get a chance to do any other work to the kit. Also yesterday my wife had shoulder surgery, so flying around here. So if I get a call and I gotta help her, she's got a brace, she's got a big sling on her arm, and she's kind of hung up a little bit. So if I get a message or something like that, please understand that I may have to just dart out here for a minute or so and be back. But hopefully, I think she's all settled in downstairs, and here we go. So we got Giovanni in too. I missed him. How you doing, Giovanni? See you. Everybody else is just saying hello. Well, let's get started here. So we're going to continue with the pigments here. I did some of the burn effects a little bit, added about the first couple layers. Let's see, might as well go down close up. And so the wife always comes first. That is true. But she's doing better today. Yesterday we just had to take her in and then bring her home, get her settled in, and she's still very, very out of it kind of. But today it's mostly just getting comfortable, getting in a position, because she's basically got to do everything with one arm now for another 6 weeks in a sling. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So just trying to set things up and do what I can to keep everything going. Give her meds. Yeah, she's got those too, Angel. Hate being in the hospital. I'm glad she is a bit better. Yeah, we were there for about half the day. We got in about 7:30 in the morning, and then by the time surgery was done and I was able to get her home, it was about 1 or 2, I think, in the afternoon. So a little bit of waiting, but no worries there. But she'll be better off in the long run. She's got to try living with this rotator cuff, and it just was proving to be more troublesome than just trying to live with it. So let's do it now. Let's get it done. Take care of the surgery over with. The recovery is going to be a difficult process, but we'll get through it. Anyway, that's that. Let's talk about this model. So, like I was saying earlier, I did a couple layers of pigments here. I need to add some more of the rust. I want to try adding some rust between panels, because again, the whole effect I'm trying to go for here is that it's kind of burned from the inside out, as if kind of like a tank does in the field when it gets hit. Lights off their magazines inside, everything kind of burns from the inside out. There's a lot of rust because paint and everything just gets boiled off from the intense heat. So you end up with rust and ash and things like that. So I got a couple layers on. We're getting old, all right. We're getting old, Angel. Last week, so you kind of see the ash in there. I went ahead and put some fixer in there, fixed all these layers that are on here, so now I can go ahead and apply more without worrying about the rest blowing off. I did have quite a bit of dust on the bench. You can see this is just from excess pigment that kind of blows off, gets on the bench, and I'll have to go back and clean everything up. But anyway, so got that there. The opening, there's some hole there. Then we have the exit hole. More internal ash and things like that, but I still want to add a little bit of that rust So I'm thinking not so much on this. Really where to get this was. I think I'm going to go around these seams where these panel lines are, and what and fire came out through those gaps. There should be some of that rust color. So we're going to be using the burnt red rust pigment, AK. High left. What is high? High right? Did you leave? Is that what you're saying, Nigel? We got smoke, my pigment picture, and then a white ash. But I'm going to go back and start using some of the red rust here on top of things, because I think that is the dominant color in all of this. I still want the ash there, but a little bit of the soot is just not as predominant as the ash. And the reason I'm shaking this, not because I'm trying to mix it up, it's because when you take the cap off, we got a good little portion of pigment that sticks to the cap there. And then I can just go and dab off of that. I don't have to worry about trying to see what I'm doing inside the bottle there. Sorry, I lost my internet connection. Oh well. On my phone during the reboot. All right, no worries, Julius. It's all good. It happens. It happens. Hey, Nick. Nick's in here. Mr. Left with Questions. How you doing? I just saw you pop in too. I missed you just a second ago. Sorry about that. He's probably looking down at the kid here. So, what the heck's going on here? Get rid of that. Oh, I don't need that. There we go. No worries about your internet connection, Julius. It happens. We all understand. So I'm going to put my magnifiers on. I want to start putting some rust on here. Now, what I was talking about in these areas, that's fixed for me. So I've got this seam here between these panels, these here, a little bit around this area, especially around this little porthole window. I want to add more of that red rust, because this is primarily where the heat, the intense heat would be from whatever, burning from inside out. So that's going to be the hottest point. That's going to be where the most paint and things were burned off. And down here, Julius is in detention again. How dare you have bad internet? Yeah, how dare you have bad internet? That's right. It's all shame Julius for his bad internet. No, we don't need to do that. Just kidding. So I'm going to start doing another layer here, just a tiny bit. These are very intense powders. They're very, very fine powders, so you don't need a lot. Just get a little bit on the brush. A little bit goes a long way. I'm going to start around this window because I didn't put a lot of that rust around here initially. I did mostly soot and some of that ash. But if there was any fire on the inside, whatever was burning on the inside of the head, that heat and those gases are going to escape through any openings like this. So that's why I'm going ahead around this window. You can see that right there. As I apply, you can see the color change almost instantly. Excuses. Flame streaks? Well, sort of. It's the laptop. Well, I understand that too. It happens. I had issues with, when I was down for Renaissance Fair, I didn't do a show for quite a few weeks there, about 5 weeks. When I came back on, I was just trying to boot up the laptop, and it was having issues like it didn't want to connect to my internet. It was like, come on, what's the big deal? It's all I did was turn you off last time. How come it's being such a pain in the butt? It's just, you leave that thing alone for a little while, and sometimes it happens. So now you can see a little bit of color. I'm just blowing off the excess. That's really why I get all this dust on the bench, because I don't want to fix all that on there. I want to focus on the areas that I want the pigments to stick. But I think as this burn area here gets so hot, you're going to see a lot of that rust, and a lot of that material with the paint and everything be scorched off, expanded from anywhere there's a gap, anywhere there's any place for those gases and that heat to escape is going to get burned. And that's the purpose of adding this in those areas. Just people. My phone on vibrate, so every once in a while I get a notification. I'm just making sure I'm not missing something. Trying to keep everybody in the loop. We'll do what we did last week too. Anytime I get a little bit of long here, I'll add some fixer, allow it to dry, and then you can go back and start layering up again, because it's a little bit easier if you set those layers, and then you don't have to worry about accidentally dusting them off or blowing them off while you're trying to put another color down or something like that. You can fix it, use the fixer, which will cement everything in place, and then it's almost just like layering layers of weathering, really. That's kind of what we're doing with these pigments. Just been trying to, let's see. Okay, Nigel, I'm going to put this on screen here. I haven't read the whole comment yet. Let's see what it says. I've just been trying out some Hobby Mio weathering powders, very similar to Mio powder sets. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I imagine if it's a pigment, it's going to be very, very similar. It just depends on the color available. I noticed that some of the AIM products that I have are mostly earth tones, whereas this was a set that I bought was strictly for burn effects. So it came with the burnt red rust. It came with the burnt umber, the white ash, and the soot, or the black ash, or whatever, or soot. So it depends on what you're buying. Sometimes I like to get those sets because they come with a nice variety of things specifically for what you are trying to do. In this case, I'm trying to create burn effects. And I will say too, I said this last week, that on camera this stuff looks very, very bright. It almost looks very orange, but in person it's more of a darker brown rust. There's some red in there, but it's not quite as stark as it is on screen. You also might notice some background music. I don't know if you guys hear that. I'm trying that out for a change. Let me know if it's a little too loud. I can adjust the volume on that. But yeah, I decided to try it out and see. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cap this real quick. I'm going to use some fixer and go back and just apply some fixer on what I've just put down. That way I don't dust off any current layer. I'm just dabbing this on, letting it flow on its own. This will go in all those areas. Similar to the way the Panaline accent color does. It just kind of wicks its way in. Nigel says they have 4 to 5 sets. Let me put that on the screen. I like doing some of the informative comments that are very, very important. We might put those on so everybody can see. 45 sets, different things. This is the one smoky black, red rust, and orange, and silver gunmetal, burnt red. Nice. So yeah, that's a pretty good variety there. I like that. I'd be interested to see how it works out. I came across one that was starship colors. Like I was trying to find grimy, starship colors. And that was another AK set, and it was basically came with some metal slag, starship filth. It was just a nice combination of varying grimy colors that you would see on a starship, like the one I was doing the Millennium Falcon. That was primarily what I would use that for. So let me go back with the red here, because I got to go back in. I'm going to go inside now. Right now I did mostly just the outside perimeter here. I'm going to go back inside here, hopefully without grabbing any fixer that's there. I just want to use the red in combination with ash that I already put inside. 1 second, Fuzzy, I'll get to that comment in just a second. Let's see, what are we saying here? Balance that. Okay, it was only $12 New Zealand. Nice. 5 to 6 US. That's great. Wow, awesome. That's really cheap. Really, really cheap. So I got quite a bit of ash inside the opening here, and I think what I'll need to do, the ash was a little bit too predominant, as I think the rust needs to be more of the color, because that's usually what you see from the intense heat. There's a little bit of ash left over, which will kind of blend later. So I'm basically just blending layers as I go in here. So I still see that ash, but then there's more of that rust. And as these pigments pile up, you'll notice that they do have a little bit of grit to them. So it almost creates like a little bit of a corrosion type effect, you know, because there is some body to it once you start piling up the layers. Another nice thing is that if you have a little bit of that fixture that's still not quite dry yet, you can go ahead and put this powder on. It'll stick and still pile up and leave a little bit of a texture. Even though I do have this, if I wanted to, this is a corrosion texture from AK as well, and this is also a paste similar to the desert sand, the terrains stuff. But the corrosion texture is for anything basically on vehicles like rust that you want to use. There's a picture of it there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's mostly just like door panel or something like that. If you wanted to really rust out a vehicle or something like that, you can use this texture, and that will give you, I'm sure there's a little bit of color in there too, but it'll also give you that gritty texture. And then you go back over it with things like this, like these pigments, and then soften those textures a little bit, but also blending colors. So it's like a combination to you achieve two things at once, really. A little bit of texture, a little bit of color as well. So now I've got that fixture. It's still under here. I'm just going back now. I am going to add some ash later on, but what I want to do is go around this window primarily, because that's where that heat would have blown out through that opening, especially if there was an incendiary round or something that went through this. You're going to see that. And so there's a pretty big difference between that and what you see back here on the exit. Oh, look, George is in the room. How you doing, George? Let's see, let me get back to the comments here. Let's see what Giovanni says. My Falcon is the cleanest ship in the whole sector because I've never done any weathering. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, it's that the Millennium Falcon's a tough thing to crack, because there's a lot of weathering that needs to be done to really get it grimy and dirty. George says, "Hey, Mike and everyone, how you doing?" George, good to see you as well. Nick says hi. Nigel from Mr. Fuzzy Space Kitty says hi as well. How's everybody doing? Good to have you, as always. So let's go back here. I'm going to go, actually, you know what? Let that sit for a sec. I'm going to add a little bit more of that rust to my exit. I keep saying exit wounds, but exit holes here. Just opening up this piece that was slightly closed. I wanted that to kind of be blown out a little bit more. So I'm going to go inside now. There was quite a bit of ash in here, which is fine. But I'm going to tone it down a little bit, and then I can go back and sprinkle in some of that rust later on. But mostly I want to dust the insides of these pieces, because all the heat came from the inside. So it's going to burn. It's going to burn out. There will be some on the outside, but there's still going to be a lot of that rust, that red color is on the inside where everything burned out. And of course, like I said, we'll add some ash to it later. It's been a whacked week, but doing okay. Good. Can't be any worse than my wife. My wife had shoulder surgery yesterday, so I said at the beginning of the broadcast, if I get a page or something like that, if my wife needs my help, I might need to dart out of here for a minute. Please understand that's because of got her situated and everything. Should be comfortable enough downstairs, should be fine. In case something comes up and she's struggling or something like that, I'll have it down there. She's in a big old shoulder harness right now, which kind of holds her arm in place, so doing everything one-handed and are offhand at that, so which is kind of a pain. Trying to function on using an arm that you're not normally used to using. So let's see, where did I had this one. Speedy recovery. Thanks, George. As speedy as it can be. It's about 6 weeks in an arm sling, so it's going to take as long as it takes. Alright, so now that's open. Now we can see a little bit of that, more of that red rust in there. Alright, so now I'm going to cap this and use a little bit of fixer on it. Make sure. Okay, no other comments there. I don't miss anything. Sorry if I missed one. If you have a question or something like that and I did happen to miss it, please put it back in the chat and we can get back to it and address it. So we go back and put some fixture now. I'm using a number 4. I think this is, I don't remember, this is an old brush. It's probably around a number 4. And just dabbing on. Letting the fixer kind of flow like I said earlier, like a panel line wash. Kind of goes into all those little grooves. And we'll keep that pigment from being rubbed off, transferred, and hold it in place. You can always add layers to it. I think it's important to say though that you need to make sure you're satisfied with what you've got there before you put a fixture on it, because it's almost like cement. Really, you're gonna fix it and then that's it. It's not going to come back up very easily without using some kind of other I don't know. I don't even know if you could at this point, because it's an enamel-based fluid, so you might be able to get it with some enamel thinner or something like that, but it's going to be kind of hard to clean that off. Now this looks really, really dark on camera, but it's really not. It's mostly just, at this point it looks brown in person, but it looks very stark against the green background. But I wanted to get that look of intense heat, and then when you see that, if you've ever looked up a tank or something like that, it's been burned from the inside out. It gets very, very intense heat and burns off paint, everything. So what you're left with is just burnt metal. It's usually a rusty red color, very bright, with some ash. Now, I may actually go along this seam as well. There's a panel here with this hole here, whatever heat might have come out of that. Might be a little bit of discoloration here, so I might try to do that. That's kind of what I did over here because of the heat we had there from that opening. All right, let's put this back on. I just ordered some more of this terrain, the sand. Even though I was able to bring this back to life with some acrylic thinner from the Tamiya stuff, I bought another one just in case. You can still find it on Amazon, pretty regularly available. What's up, Dwayne? Haven't seen you in a bit. Good to see you. These pigments are really doing some lifting, bringing in other colors. Let's put that on screen. Fuzzy says, layers are good. Sorry if I missed Dwayne popping in there. Saying hi really quick before I go. Oh, okay. Going to the game with Mason. Okay, nice. Are you talking about Mason Finch? In Texas, I believe, if I'm not right. These pigments are really doing some lifting. Bringing in, well, we got comments popping in. I'm going to read this. Bringing in other colors. What are you doing to seal them? I'm using fixer, what you probably just saw. It's a pigment fixer. It's an enamel fluid, a clear fluid that dries flat. You can go back over them if you need to kind of make sure your flat colors blend very nicely. Just hit them with another layer of matte finish when you're done, and that will make sure there aren't any, what is it called? It's like a there's some border lines and things like that from when you're using this type of thing. Sometimes you get a little bit of a border line from the fluid. And are you saving progress? Yeah, kind of. By doing the fixer, that's what I'm saving those layers. Don't forget to, what's this say? It says, don't forget that this is a sci-fi vehicle. The burnt metal effects you like, right? So you are free to have any sort of burn. That is true. So Dwayne says he's been busy. Went to PatCon. That's cool. 80% recovered. Yeah, I just spent the weekend in Idaho. That was an 8-hour drive both ways. So I know what you mean. I was pretty tired when I got home on Monday. Best IPMS event so far this year. Good to see. Good to hear. I'm glad it was a success. So, like I said earlier, just I may have to dart out of here. I'm going to try to keep plugging away, but Maria needs a little bit of assistance. I might just jump out real quick. So I'm going to let this dry for a second. Doesn't take too terribly long for the stuff. Depends on how much you put down. It's fairly quick drying, but too kind. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I am going to have to check out for a second, so please enjoy the background music. I can throw that on a little bit higher if you need it. Can everybody hear it? If not, I'll turn it up a little bit. Some rock music playing in the background. I'll just give it a little turn up, and then I'll be right back in 2 seconds. All right, guys, thanks for being patient. I appreciate it. And I'm back. All right, so let's turn down that music again. And go back to the comments here. We got 5 more. What I miss? Time to go. See you later. See you later, Dwayne. Thanks so much for joining in. I appreciate that. Have a great evening, afternoon, morning, whichever it is, whatever date time it is. If you're in Texas, whatever, it's probably a few hours ahead of us. Still looking for recommendations on large-scale Gundam builds. You want like master grade scale, like 1/100, or are you talking about even larger than that? Yeah, PG. Exactly. That's exactly what I was just asking. Music sounds like his original Forza. It might be. It's just stuff that's included with StreamYard. That way, it'll get busted for copyright or anything like that. That's all. So hopefully next week, if I get enough of this, I think we'll be done with the burn effects. Right now, it's a lot of red, but that's okay. The red is we can blend everything out. When I add some more of this, the ash is really gonna. The ash, I don't know how they do it, but it's just the grit of it. It really looks like ash, just the way, the grittiness of it. It kind of, if you take like even a piece of wood and you burn it to the point where it turns white, the ash just kind of, it's almost like sprinkling on speckles of white, and that's what that does. It just works so effectively as white pigment to, and that's why sometimes I don't even want to use the fixer on it, because the fixer kind of blends everything down, and sometimes I just want to leave it alone. What we got here? Fish forever. What's up, Fish? I'm a little disappointed with the music choice, Mike. 9 Inch Nails. Well, yeah, if I do all that, George, as you know, you're on YouTube, you get dinged really quick if you try using copyrighted music. So, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Holy crap, I missed a lot. Fish is back. 48 scale. 48? Oh, God. Well, sorry, Nigel. I'm not sure. Whoop, wrong one. What do I want to pick? 48. Gosh, I don't know of any 48 scale Gundam kits that aren't third party. So, nothing wrong with Texas. I was just thinking that, Nick, that, who was it? Dwayne, I think he said he was going out with, actually, that would have been Massachusetts or something like that. I don't know why I said Texas, but I was thinking he was over there because he said he was going with Mason. But I don't know. I thought Mason was, for some reason I thought Mason was in Texas, but I guess not. Yeah, let's not talk about Texas. Oh, it's okay. Well, now Georgia's firing a shot. Unicorn F00. Is that a 148? SOAD. Don't know what that is. Oh, System of the Down. Okay. Yeah, you guys are all talking about copyrighted stuff, and as soon as I play that kind of music, then I get flagged for it. So no, sorry, not gonna do it. Can't even hum a song. A little tune getting, yeah, right, exactly. Deftones. You guys are. He's in Massachusetts. I don't know why I said Texas. I knew as soon as he said he went to your event, I should have known it was in Massachusetts. What are your favorite kits from Bandai that Bandai made? Oh gosh, we were talking Gundam kits or Macross kits or whatever, or just in general, any kits. It's a good question. Anybody want to chime in what their favorite Bandai kit is? I think I go back to the Master Grade Verka new. Not necessarily the high new. The high new was nice, but I think the new would have been one of my favorite. Just the detail of it, the fit, everything fit really great. And it was just for me, I think that was one of my favorites. Was the new version Ka on a couple of my short feature music. Oh yeah, I know. I used some copyrighted music on one of my shorts as well, and then all I get is notifications every month going, hey, by the way, you're sharing your monetization with somebody else because it's their music. Like, yeah, whatever. Let's see, Sinanju. Yeah, Sinanju's good. I've not built a Sinanju, to be quite honest. I think do I have one? I don't even know if I have one. Texas and Mass, same thing. Polar opposites. Let's see here. Fine. Well, let me try another one. We can go down here and choose. Let's try this one. Night driving. See what that's all about. Was that too mellow? Yeah. See, I was trying to get something that was a little, uplifting. Let's try this one. Yeah, that's kind of boring too, huh? Feeding the what? I don't know what that's supposed to be. We'll try this one. I don't know what that sounds like, but it sounds like an adult film. I'm not sure I want that. Make a scale, make a size 148. I made the Stein. Yeah, that's true. That is true, Angel. I did make this Ninja Stein. But I think it's a little bit different. I think of those as two completely different kits because they really are, as far as like the lines and the detail. Sinanju is such a slender kit with, well, sleek. I mean, like curved lines, no sharp edges really. Whereas the Sinanju Stein was a Fetty kit, a Fetty suit. So before they went and changed it. Dude, yes. Music to fall asleep to. Really? So you want to fall asleep, right, George? Is that what's going to help you out in your jacked week? All right, fine. Texas is definitely better than shots fired. Yeah, see, I told you it sounds like porn movie. And Angel's falling asleep. Right, this stuff's almost dry here. I can still see a tiny bit of gloss, which means I still gotta wait just a few minutes. But now that I've got those additional layers there, I think the next one I can add some. I can go back and put some of that soot on there, or actually, what is it called? The smoke. Which is not entirely black, but it's like a very, very dark gray. But I think I want to go with ash next. I see Mang has some Mecha Eva. What is that? Mang has Mecha Eva kits. Has 9th scale motorbikes. That's pretty big. 9th scale. Went to Rise Against to a Rise Against concert, and Facebook dinged me for posting it in my stories. Yeah, I'm telling you, anytime you use copyrighted music, especially if you're getting monetization from anything. If you're not, really can't see why that would be a huge issue. But if you're already getting monetization, then all right. So we'll leave it here, George. If you're liking this one, we'll leave it here. There's like 8 of them that they have. I can upload my own music, but again, I run that danger of being copyrighted. In fact, when I first made this new intro video, I had somebody make it for me. I paid some designer to do it, and it was a friend of mine who was struggling a little bit, needed some work, so I paid him to create that intro video that I played it before everything. But it had different music, and I kept wondering why every time I uploaded a video to YouTube, I was getting dinged for copyright. I found out it was because of the intro music, so I went ahead and changed it myself in CapCut. Kept the video portion, just took the audio out, and that way I can avoid any of those. Because then I instantly lose monetization right away. So, old when it gets confused. Angel's throwing out. What does it say? I do need Nick to snap it and realize right about Texans. Yeah, well, it is what it is. All right, let's get back here. I'm going to shake this up a little bit just to get a little bit of that pigment stuck on the cap. Showed this earlier. It makes it a little bit easier than dipping in the bottle. You can just get a little bit inside the cap and go from there. All right, so this is all dry up here. I'm going to add just a tiny bit inside again. Definitely really resembled ash, which is something that's just kind of crazy how well this works. Just putting a little bit on. It's very, very, very strong stuff. I'm going to make it a camera adjustment here. Notice I'm working a bit too close to. All right, let's update that location. There we go. Now we're in frame of the leader. So just going around the edges here, adding a little bit of that ash. Kind of around those, in between where those cracks would be. Pulling off a little bit of the excess, but then I'll go back and use the fixer. One thing you got to consider too, be careful, is when you get these little, sometimes I have to go back over with a Q-tip and some enamel thinner, because as these little powders blow around, you get your finger on top of one and you can kind of make like little fingerprints in that. So just keep that in mind. But if you got loose powder, you know, the extra pigment flying around, you can kind of end up with some smudges you may not be ready for. Alright, so now I'm going to go back. I'm just doing some of this ash that might have come out between these panels. Music has a train whistle, refrain from it. Is there a train in the back? Oh yes, there is a train in the background, by the way. Yes, that is the trains that just go by my house. I'm surprised you can actually hear that. It's not that loud, but yeah, it's definitely there. Freight trains. Occasionally there's some passenger trains on the same track, but most of the time it's just freight. You can see those little individual grains of paint. It really does look like ash in there. And it helps tone down that reddish color a bit too. Comes through pretty loud, yeah. I mean, I can hear it. It's like I mean, it's probably about a mile away, the tracks from my house, maybe a little more, over a mile. But you know, especially with the rain we're having right now, the sound probably travels quite a bit better in the with moisture in the air. So I guess it makes sense that it really does. All right, I think I'm going to let that sit. I need to clean up some of those, like I was talking about earlier, those stray little, I've got it all over my hand too now from being on the bench. Yeah, wow. Quite a bit just came out of me. I just rubbed that off my hand, so it's crazy how much that stuff gets all over the place very quickly. Nigel's back. Mr. Space Kitty. Right now I'm just cleaning up so I get some extra pigment in areas I don't want. So I'm just kind of going over with some enamel and cleaning those up. Once that dries, good. I am going to lift this up, and I'm going to take I've got kind of a wet towel here. I'm just going to go over this area. This will pick up any of those. I mean, you see how much is there? I didn't even realize how much is really there. It's crazy. It just looks like a little bit of dust or Not even really that much on the table, but then when you put a wet towel down, you get all those, and just from either falling off or me, blowing off the excess, it just makes like a huge. It is kind of messy, so I'm gonna let that sit. Before we go, before I fix these, I want to show this a little bit closer here. So now there's quite a bit of that burned area. It looks like it's inside. You can see the exit, or the hole going through to the exit, stacking up those layers of rust and soot. Oops, did I miss? Hide that. Ultimate Mecha had to pop up and search for some Ultimate Mecha intro music. Oh, okay. Nice. And Julie says, I remember as a kid living near the Air Force Base, 5 miles, you could hear them powering up. That would be even better than trains, I think. I'd love to hear the jets. I don't know if I'm asking for trouble there, but it seems like that would be cooler. I'll find a track I'm looking for and post it. I think it will work well. Cool. Well, I'll check into it. I would love to see that or hear that. Cool deals. All right, so let me pull up this here. I'm going to set this down in place again. So this, yeah. All right, so now we're looking at ground level. Still need to fill in those areas and dust up. I gotta grimy up and dust up this pistons and stuff underneath, but that's fine. Once this is all fixed in place, kind of see from this angle, embedded in the sand, and I'll use pigments as dust and splash effects there from that when it goes into the ground. At least all the hoses and tubes and stuff that are coming out of the energy cable there, they're all laying flat, so I won't need much there. And these still swivel too. These actually swivel, so if I need to make a minor adjustment there, I can do that. Where are we at? We're way ahead of schedule. I'm not sure I can extend this one into an hour and a half. I might need to cut this live stream a bit short tonight, make sure the wifey's okay. Gosh, that powder's everywhere. It's all over the top of my bottles. That stuff just gets everywhere. It's crazy when you do one of these, with these pigments, and then you go back and kind of clean up the bench. You're like, oh my god, that stuff's just everywhere. You don't realize how much gets all over the place. I might even go back in with a little bit of that smoke and just put some inside a little bit. Walking the dog. Okay, cool. I think you did that. You used to do that all the time. Walk the dog during the show. Watch it on your phone. This is another color. I don't think I really need this color though. This is burnt umber, but I think it's. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it's very dark. It's more of a brown. Doesn't quite fit the colors that I think I'm going for, so that's why we've kind of let that one set aside. We're just using mostly smoke, which is, pull this cap. Yeah, see, almost black soot, but a little bit lighter gray tone than that, and we've got white ash, and then the burnt red rust, which I think those three seem to be the best combination. So I suppose, well, no, I don't want to get into doing terrain stuff, only because I'm going to fill in that area, like this area here. The Zaku head's going to sit. I got to fill in some of these areas, but what I want to do, I think it's going to take some timing on my part, and that's why I can't really do it now. I just want to fill in this area, not completely to the top, but fill it in roughly all the deep crevices and let it start to dry. When it gets just to the point where it's still wet but not going to stick too much to the model, I can press that head down in there and get the impression of, you know, the cables and everything like that. So then when I go to place it later on, it'll fit right in this the actual spot. At least that's my plan. I don't know if it's going to work out, but we'll see. We shall see. Love to do a kit of a C-130, yeah. Like the Puff the Magic Dragon version with the howitzer and all those big guns sticking out of it. Now you guys are going to hear the rain because it's raining right now, so you might even hear that in the background. He used to live 500 meters. Let's see, what is Nigel saying here? He used to live 500 meters beginning the Air Force runway. Except C-130s and other aircraft flying just 30 meters over the roof. Wow. Yeah, that'd be hard to do in the middle of the night, right? You got big aircraft flying over your roof. Damn. Yeah, AC-130 I think would be a nice change from all the sci-fi stuff. But I think one of the best aircraft kits out there, and it was a friend of mine in California that turned me onto it, was the Tamiya 148 F14A. I'm not sure if the F14D is the same. I mean, it should be the same kit other than a few slight changes to the engines stuff. But for some reason, that F14A, it's by far one of the best kits that Tamiya has ever made as far as the fit and finish. Everything fit so perfectly. It's crazy. Not the slightest bit of warpage or anything. Everything just fit together unbelievably good. Spooky gunship, yes, please. 30-second scale. Damn, that's big. You gonna dip? All right, Fish. Thanks for stopping by, bud. Hopefully catch you again soon. Everybody say goodbye to Fish. Fish is taking off. All right, so what are we going to do next here? I guess I can show off. I might even be able to show off a new toy. One of the cool things about the place that I work is Subaru gives us points for online training and things like that we can go ahead and later on cash in for. You can buy merchandise with it. I bought a nice sound bar. It's pretty cool. A little while back, and recently I cashed in some more points and picked up something else. But before I reveal that, I'll take another quick. I think my wife is. Let me see if she needs me real quick here. Nope. Hold on a second. Might need to jump just for a second. Come back again real quick. What is says I built 2 Tamiya Tomcat kits. 100% awesome. Well, that's all. Yeah, cool. I totally agree. I can go get that if we really want to show that off. Let me go to the download here. I should be able to. Yeah, that shouldn't be too hard to get out. Since we're talking about it, we're just waiting for the segue here. Open the cabinet here and we'll bring out the F-14. This thing barely fits into a DTOL. Yeah, I went to the download only because this is a pretty large kit. And so now I went a bit crazy with this guy. And I bought Edwards photo etch, anything I could find photo etch. The vents, the grills, the exterior, the cockpit, even the engines I did the afterburners, which were photo etch. I did those. So if you look down the engine ports, you'll see the photo etch. Wow, that's really coming down. You guys hear that rain? Hey, Subaru mechanic, I need help with a boost issue. Your Toyota called Dina Never even heard of it. Is that something? That must be something. Something they only sell in New Zealand. Never heard of a Albina. Yeah. So the canopy will come off. I don't want to lift it up, but I did everything from. Let's see if I can just hold up close up. You can see a photo etch. Now let me go to the close up. That way we can really get. You can see it. What can you see? Let's go down here. So you got the ejection handles, everything that was photo etch. Let's see, come on, focus, baby. Focus. There we go. There's the ejection handles. I don't want to tip this too much. The seats were resin seats. All the controls were all photo etch. All the grills, the ladder. Let me spin this around here. See if I can turn this around without just destroying this thing. I really got to be careful. Let's see, the ladder. Let's see right there. That was photo etch. Oh, you can see it. You can see the rain. Yeah, you can see the rain because you only live 6 miles away. Yeah, this was a really fun kit, and I did a little bit of weathering here. You can see some of the oil stains and stuff like that. Not as grimy as some of the ones I've seen people do, but yeah, damn Tomcats are so sexy. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, Nigel. Yeah, it was fun. I'm glad Dan turned me on to that. And he was like, he found a place that had it on sale, and he goes, "Look, if you're going to buy this aircraft kit, this is the one you want to buy. Buy it now." I don't want to tilt this too much. Now let me just do this. I'll just pull the canopy off because the canopy kind of sits on here on a rod. So I don't want to lose that. So I'm going to take the rod out. It's the piston that holds that up. Just sits in there. So now maybe we can see cockpit a little bit better. So there you go. Without the canopy, you can really see everything. And it's so detailed. It's just unreal. Then we flip it over. We got all the armament. Definitely not weathered, probably enough, but yeah, I did every single bit of photo etch imaginable that this thing was available from Edward anyway. That's what I thought. Put this back in with this little tiny push rod here. And then this sit just like that. All right, let me put this back in the case. Oops. Let me turn this around. All right, give me 5 seconds here. Let me put this back in. Thanks, Giovanni. Appreciate that. All right. Let's shove this back in the case here very, very gently. Like I said, it barely fits diagonally in a detail on one shelf. Just to get it far enough back in there where the nose cone fits. A little bit of a challenge, but all right. Let's get back on this guy. Okay. It's a really nice top kit. Really nice. I enjoyed it. I think it was one of the best. And I might have even picked up a Hasegawa one. I think one of the IPMS events I went to. One of the ones, well, the only one out here. They have raffle. Well, there was a couple ways. The ones they used to do in Orange County, California. You would put your raffle tickets in groups. Like they would have a group of models that if you wanted to win from this group, you put your ticket in that bowl. If you wanted to win from this group, you put your ticket in that bowl. the one the event out here, and then you would get, they would just basically give you the model that this is what you want. But out here in Washington, if you win a raffle, you basically go up to the table and you select from whatever you see on the shelf, like whatever in that section. Like you can pick anything from this entire section, so you pick the one you want. And so I picked up a Hasegawa F14, same scale, 148. So we'll see. I've heard that that's a lot harder to put together than the Tamiya version, but another thing. All right, Nick's out of here. Later, fellas. See you later, Nick. Thanks for joining in. Got the kid to attend to. Fully understand. And then Nigel says, one of my Tomcats is low vis. Nice. I have the Macross, one of the VF1s that comes in low visibility color scheme, and it's a really nice kit too. It probably resembles that low vis. In fact, I can bring that one out too. It resembles that low vis color scheme. But it comes with both sets of decals, so you can do it in a regular version if you want, or you can do it in low vis. Let's see if it's something I can get to easily enough. If not, I'm not going to worry about it, but I wanted to see if it's handy and I can get my hands on it now. Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit too buried back there in the backlog. So, all right, guys, give me 1 second. I got to check in on the wife. 1 second, guys. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. All right, sorry about that. Thank you so much for being patient with me. It's kind of unusual circumstances this week anyway. So now that I have take that off screen. Sorry, I got a comment on there. Don't need that. I think I'm ready to use a little bit of fixer on the ash, just to make sure all of that sits in place. All right, so let's grab the fixer again. I got a lot of extra pigment over here on the side. You see, as you're dusting these things, it starts to collect dust on some of the other panels. I gotta make sure that I get rid of that. Almost got too much there. I'm glad I didn't accidentally get that with fixer real quick. Okay. There. Get those cleaned off. Should I toss that? Grab a little more of that real quick. I'm going to clean up one more of those tube on that side. Grab another toothpick here. Not a toothpick, Q-tip, excuse me. Let's get a fresh one. I've got some that use for multiple things and grab one, but none of them are clean enough. I need something pretty clean too. There we go. You can see how much is coming off of that. And that's just that fine dust that came off while I was applying the pigments to this. They're just falling down and landing on tubes here, but okay. That's going to be embedded in the sand on that side anyway. Not too terribly worried about it. There's going to be a lot more dust on there when I'm done or getting done because I got to create that splash effect from that thing hitting the sand. Let's do this real quick. I'm just going to dab on some fixer here. Done with your painting session for the day. Notice that, especially with the ash, the fixer kind of tones down the color of it, so it might be necessary to go back and just put a little bit of that dry pigment on at the end and just not worry about sealing it, just so it still retains that dust effect. I'm just dabbing this and letting it flow. It dries flat, so that's good, but sometimes you want that stark contrast between those colors. It's a little bit harder to get when it kind of tones it down a little bit. Almost brightens that brown. You can see that rusty red color come through more, especially on camera, but it's not quite as bright in person. It's just all right. I'll clean the brush off. Actually, I don't need to clean it right at the moment. I'm just gonna go back. I'll put through like a thinner later, make sure it's nice and clean and done. Gonna let that dry again. Let's see if Nigel says, I'm just getting my GSI 771 set up. So if I airbrush. Oh, so it's a airbrush from GSI. Working on a 135. Took the Apache, nice, AH64. Cool deals, man. That's one thing I haven't tried to do. I'm not even sure I've ever done it. I'm trying to think when's the last time I might have ever built a helicopter, and I don't think I ever have. I've always been very intimidated by them just because of the delicateness of it, the rotors and things like that. And I've always loved the Apache. The Cobra was nice too, but I think the Apache and even a Blackhawk are just really nice looking. Very versatile and aggressive. Helicopters. I think those are cool. So maybe I need to do an Apache or something like that. The pigment should brighten up once again when the fixture is dry. Well, actually, I want them to tone down a little bit. They get a little bit brighter with the fixer on it, but they actually will slightly dull when they dry. So yeah, you can see how instantly it just gets so much brighter. You can see the shine coming off of it, but yeah, that'll dry up nicely. Won't be anything left. I do need to add a little bit of that smoke just to give it some color variation. That black, and then maybe I'll do that first, and then do one last application of the ash, just to kind of sprinkle those ash pigments on there, and then that should be great. The GSI airbrushes are friggin' amazing. And one is a 0.18. Damn, that is very fine. I can't even remember. I think that the lowest one I've got is a 0.1. I don't know if I got I think maybe I have one a little bit less than that, 0.15. But maybe not even that much. I use all Iwata airbrushes, so I don't know. If you do a 130 or do a 35th patch, and you get the Mang kit, not the Tokum one. Well, first of all, I haven't even heard of Tokum or Takum. Sorry, I said that wrong, didn't I? But I have heard of Mang, and I know Mang makes some really crazy details on. Especially George knows this. He's talking about some of the Mang kits he's done with his small scale armor kits. They're just a crazy amount of detail. Oh, thanks for Twitch chiming in here. Outlaw Dex Premium term, cheap viewers and streamboo.com. Remove the space. Blah, 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 blah. Thanks for spamming me. How about new? Julia says, it's interesting how people will bag their dogs while walking them and then leave the bag on the sidewalk. Oh, thanks. You did half the job. Yeah, that is kind of rude and disgusting, really. To do half the job, if you're going to clean it up, take it with you. That's the whole point, right? I mean, come on, people. It's part of owning a pet. You know, George, remember back when we were kids, we didn't walk around with bags. You know, if we walked a dog, you tried not to let him crap on the ground when you were walking him. You know, sometimes it happens. And there's even quite a bit of ash. I like this. Kind of an unintentional effect, but if you look under the glass there, the edge of the glass, there's some of that ash that is kind of piled up inside. And that's awesome, because that's what would happen. There would just be some loose ash particles that would collect around those edges around the glass as the fire was burning inside this thing. All right, so I guess what I can do is put this back on here and then put the tank on and kind of see where we're at. I know I've done this before, but so let me go back to just download view. This gives us a little bit wider angle. Let's just say humans in general effing suck. Only 20% of them are a bunch of nice people. Well, that's true. Yeah, unfortunately, I have the privilege of knowing a lot of nice ones. I do know a few bad ones, but so now we're going to take the tank here. After all this video is listed as the 135th main battle tank, but so now we're looking at, I don't know if I put this way, I would probably end up going this way with it, just so it kind of keeps everything synchronized. I think if we're pointing it out this way, it's kind of away from the diorama. I think maybe turning it this way kind of keeps everything in tight, and a barrel sticking way out, like way outside, you know, way out here. For display purposes, I think maybe rotating it there is great. So that's where the head will be. And the figures will go somewhere around this area. In front, I may still have the commander in the commander seat. I have the hatch for that if I have the hatch open. If I don't have him in there, if I have him standing out on the ground here, I will close the hatch. So that's why I haven't glued the hatch back on. I did have it glued open at one point, but I accidentally knocked it off. And I decided to leave it for now because I wasn't sure if I was going to leave it open or closed. Because if I don't have somebody standing in there, I'm not going to have an open hatch because you can just basically see the seat, and there's no real details done inside there. I don't want people looking in there and just seeing an empty cavity. But best to keep all parts inside. Yeah, I agree. Best to keep all that stuff inside, especially with this. Is pretty large. It's about 14 inches around. And it's going to go on top of, I mean, it's not just going to be on the foam base here. I have a wood plaque that this is going to be glued to once I get everything figured out. But last week I noticed one of the wheels was a bit loose. I had to do a repair on that after the show. I did that. That's all good to go. And but other than that, yeah, we're not going to be doing much else with the tank here. The tank looks pretty damn dirty, doesn't it? It's supposed to be that dirty. It just kind of came out that way. It's all right. It's part of the weathering process. I can't go backwards now. Everything's been fixed. All the dusty colors are there, fixed. And then once once I get all this thing and settled in the dirt, I'll add some more actual dust to this. Actual dirt and grime, other than just the burn effects. So because this is going to be slamming into the dirt and sand, there's going to be some blowout there and some areas where there's going to be a created dust cloud. Some of that dust is going to settle on the model. Tanks at best really dirty. Yeah, good. Yeah, I hope so. They are pretty dirty. It was a fun kit. So far, so good. And they're supposed to move together, but when I open the package up, the pivot or the pin that joined these two was actually broken off, so I had to pin it, drill it, and pin the thing just to make sure it would stay together. And as a result, now I have independently. They're sort of independent. They do swivel slightly, but they kind of move up and down independently because of that. So. Yeah, I did some weathering underneath, and you can see all in the back here. It's all dirty underneath. Even though you're not going to really see that, I doubt anybody's going to try to pick this thing up. Yeah, so you can see how. So this one's about a quarter inch higher than the other side, so they do kind of move independently. But yeah. All right, boys and girls, I think we're gonna let me take the tank off here. Maybe do one last application of some of that soot or some of that smoke and ash, and then we'll call it a night. Take the tank back off. I would do it on here. I suppose I could do it on here. It's just all that dust is gonna accumulate. Trying to keep it to contain in this area. Let's go back to the close-up here, and I'm going to open, do a little bit of the smoke here. Fuzzy says, when I find one of those tanks, reasonable price, I'll get one. I lucked out. I'll be quite honest with you. Again, I talked about Dan earlier in the broadcast. A friend of mine in California, he was at a swap meet, a model swap meet of all things, and somebody had one there, and he messaged me because he'd already had one. He didn't need to. He sends me a message. He's like, dude, do you want me to get this for you? And it was this kit. It was the 1/35th scale main battle tank for $20. And I was like, yes, $20 US. So I said, absolutely. And I had him pick it up for me. Otherwise, it's one of those things. It's hard to find, really hard to find. But at a decent price anyway, because they're a little bit rarer. So yeah, naturally they're not as easy, and they always cost more when they're not readily available. So yeah, I jumped on the opportunity It probably stayed in the backlog for a couple of years, and then I decided to bust it out. Usually I've gotten in the habit of, especially nowadays, is like when I get, unless I'm doing like, after this I'll be doing a commission, but a lot of times when I get done with a build, I'll bring 3 or 4 kits out and go, okay, people, what am I building next? And I'll let the viewers choose. Kind of fun, lets a little bit of interaction there, lets everybody, what do you guys want to see next? And that's what I do. So, with the exception of the next one, because obviously I've got a commission to build. That's a Macross kit, so we'll be doing that for Giovanni. So we already know what's next after that, but I'm sure once I'm done with that, then we will do the same thing. I'll bring out a few kits. Nearly 500 on eBay. Good Lord. Yeah, $20. I know. Like I said, there was no way I was passing it up, and I don't think whoever sold it didn't realize what they had. If I'm being honest, they probably just saw an old Bandai kit, Gundam kit. Not, it was probably some old salty that had been selling kits for years and really didn't know what he had, didn't know how much he could get for it, and just decided to sell it real cheap. And so yeah, he messaged me and I said, absolutely, pick it up. So sent it to me, paid a little bit of shipping, I think, and shipped it out here. There's no way I wasn't going to let that. I mean, even if I had never thought about buying that kit ever for $20, it's like, yes, absolutely. There's no way I'm going to let that go. Okay, so now I'm doing is one last little application of the ash, just in a few places around the opening in the hole there up inside. I wish they made even more master grades as nice as they do the hard graft kits, because these 135th scale ones always come with a nice set of decals, and for the money, and like especially master grade, you guys are paying how much for a master grade? Or the only time you get decals on nice water slides is a version Ka. You can't even get most of the time. You end up with a sticker slide. You got to buy the water, or a sticker sheet. And you got to buy water slides aftermarket. I wish Bandai would reprint. Yep, absolutely. Totally agree with you 100%, Julius. It's nearly 500, man. That's crazy. And I think we figured out what New Zealand dollars are. It's not. It sounds like a lot, but let me see if I got my currency app up again, and we can check unless somebody's quicker on the draw here. Let's see, New Zealand. Okay, I still got New Zealand dollars in there. So 500, huh? That's New Zealand, or is that 500 US? Because 500 New Zealand is about 291 US, which is still ridiculously high. So hopefully, Nigel, you're talking about 500 New Zealand dollars versus 500 US. Because I mean, not to say I've never bought a kit that wasn't over $400. The 120 scale Macross Gerwak from Max Factory was almost 400 with the weapon set and the decal sheet that you had to buy separate. 260 US. Okay, yeah. So that's still, good Lord, that's still a ridiculous amount of money. Damn. Yes, the new hard graft sets would be friggin' fantastic. Yeah, I agree. I'm totally right there with you. Man, oh man. Okay. All right, boys and girls. I think we're going to start packing this one up for the evening. Call it a night. I'm going to move this aside, do one last wipe here with I got a wet towel. This is like just a couple of paper towel sheets that I dampen in the sink just so I can go and get that fine powder, because it gets everywhere and it's all over me. You can even see like the black coming off my hand from the smoke color, and the white and the red, everything. All right. Purchased order models 136 scale Lancaster kit, 990 Zealand. Wow. Oh, you're welcome, Julius. You're welcome. Hey, I should be thanking you guys. You guys are the ones that are dedicated, always hanging out with me. So let's go back up here to my mug, my ugly ass mug. All right, guys, thank you so much again for joining in and hanging out while we did the layer. Hopefully this next week I'll be able to finish up. I think I'm going to be finished with the head, and we're going to start working on the base. So it's going to be about putting some of that material down, that sand, that desert sand, that terrain. It's like a paste, really, and then setting the Zaku head inside. So now that I've got all the colors on, I can do one last clear coat, seal all that in, and then start working on the base and start getting close to wrapping up this project. Good night, everybody. Good night, Mike. George says good night. Thank you. Wishing the best for your wife. Thank you so much, George. I really appreciate that. I'll let her know what you said. Giovanni says good night. So let me go back to the list. I know we have quite a few here. Nigel was cheating. He showed up 2 days early and then 30 minutes early. And Julia shortly in after that. Angel after that. And then we get down. We had Giovanni, Nick. I'm trying to think. I don't think there was much more than that as far as in the chat. And George after that, of course. And we go down. Dwayne popped in shortly just for a little bit. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I'm sorry if I missed one, but I'm pretty sure I got everybody. Fish Forever. Forgot about Fish. Fish joined in just for a bit. He jumped out. Let's see. Yeah, as we get down the bottom. What's this background? What was that? Oh, yeah, we talked about that. And yeah, that was about it. And we got spam from Twitch. Thanks again, Twitch. All right. And then Nigel says, thanks for the stream, bro. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, guys. Still no wine from Maria. Well, yeah, she's on medication. She can't have wine. Come on, you guys know that. At least not right away. Crazy part is they did a nerve block, so her arm is still numb. Her shoulder's still numb. So that's supposed to wear off. They said within a day or two, maybe 3. Right now we're getting into day 2. We've already gone through all the rest of yesterday and today. Still numb. So she's got to take the pain meds just in case that wears off in between, because you definitely don't want to wake up all of a sudden and go, oh my God, I'm in a lot of pain. So yeah, we got to get those meds going just to preemptively strike against that pain. So anyway, enough of that. We'll see you guys next week. What do we say here? See you next time, fellas. Yep, absolutely, Nigel. And the Paints and Sins, wish her the best. Of course, I will. I appreciate each and every one of you. Love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, boys and girls.